Hi, and welcome again to this latest episode of La Plata Ward 4 Update Podcast. Hi, this is David Jenkins, La Plata Town Council member from Ward 4, and your host for this podcast and video, which are now both available on YouTube and YouTube Music. So tonight, or this episode, I want to talk about the results from the Town of La Plata's 2024 National Community Survey, which was presented to the Town Council at our September 20th, 2024 meeting. So let me give you a little background. So the town engaged the firm called Polco, P-O-L-C-O, to conduct its National Community Survey to obtain public perceptions of La Plata and its our general livability. Now, this National Community Survey, called NCS, consists of standard questions asked of all towns and a limited number of custom questions provided by us, which may be tailored to the ongoing or anticipated conditions affecting La Plata. Now, the last time we did this survey by the same company, which is affiliated with the International City County Management Association, or ICMA, was in 2016. So this is a pretty good, so it was time we did this again to really gauge you as residents of what you perceive La Plata is and what it could be. So, and both surveys, that is in 2016 and 2024, are almost the same type of questions. And so I'm going to go through the current edition, again, the 2024 edition results, and I'll post a link to the actual report as well. So the way this goes is that the company, Polco, they randomly identified 3,500 residents for an initial survey participation, after which the survey was open to the general public. And so some of you, like I did, received a postcard in the mail with a link so you could do the survey online. So between the online surveys and the actual paper survey, there were 426 responses. The results were weighted to reflect La Plata's current adult demographic profile, and I'll show you this on the report. Now, the information from the survey can be used in the future by the current town council and the next town council after the election in May of 2025 to provide clear perspectives on your community priorities. We can use these to review and adjust the town's upcoming fiscal year 2026 budget, as well as future budgets, future staffing needs, and again, better ways to look at operations to address your community priorities. This also can provide guidance to the next town council, again, after the May 2025 election. Can help us, this current and future council, to look at it and revise our 2022 town strategic plan. And so that's kind of what the survey is all about. And let me add a couple of things before we get into it, and I'll scroll down to the next page. This is some background information. So this is the current demographic profile of La Plata in terms of age, Hispanic origin, housing tenure, the type of housing, race and Hispanic, sex and sex age. So that kind of gives you an idea of the weighted and how they weight the results based upon our demographics. And I do have to tell you that, let me see if I can go back to it, but you'll see, for instance, let's go to the first page, or the first indicator. It's called quality of life. And you'll see these columns to the right-hand side where the cursor I'm looking at shows you, where they say similar or lower, and you'll see later on or higher. This refers to what they call national benchmarks. That is, these benchmarks are compared to other municipalities across the country that are similar to us. And so when they say similar, that means we're on par with those other communities in terms of these benchmarks. When it means higher, it means that La Plata is above the average, whereas lower means we're lower than the average. So I'll go through these and try to highlight some of these as well. So this first indicator is quality of life, and each indicator, in this case quality of life, also has a pie chart which shows you the overall, in a graphic form, this overall rating or opinion about quality of life. So you can see here, good is 55, excellent 15, fair is 26%. So that's a pretty good number, pretty high. Where we are lower is that here in my cursor, you can see folks were lower benchmark as compared to other communities if they will remain in La Plata for the next 5 years, or recommend to somebody else to live in La Plata. So that's a little discouraging, but again reflects some of the later issues we'll talk about. So here's governance. Again, go to the top and see the pie chart. This talks about how the town is governed by the staff and the town council. That's us, or me, one of 5 council members. So you can see excellent, good, fair. So that's and you can see by the ratings, in most instances were similar as compared to other benchmarks or other communities in the country. Where we're lower is generally acting in the best interest of the community. That's a concern, and I suspect that comes from the pace of development over the last number of years. And then also the value of services for taxes paid to La Plata. And I think that's a valid point, but I believe some of that may be some confusion about taxes, whether they're county or town taxes. And the town did raise taxes in the current last year's budget, this year's budget, by 3 cents. But the taxes in previous years have not gone up. The taxes only went up because the assessed value of homes went up. So that maybe that's something to do with that. And then, unfortunately, a negative here is the overall direction that La Plata is taking. So we're much lower. And again, that's reflective, I believe, my opinion would be, of the development of what's happening in the town and also adjacent in Charles County as well. Here, this how folks follow the town. So we're pretty good, supposedly, in terms of contacting the town, attended a public meeting, or watch meetings online. So that's good, and I'm really heartened to see that. I hope we can improve that and do better. This next indicator is our economy. And again, you can see the pie chart between excellent and good and fair. It's a pretty good number, pretty high number. Places to work. The only thing, there's a couple here that I'll talk about, which are we're lower than the benchmark. La Plata is a place to visit. That's interesting because we really don't have much. We have some, but not necessarily real tourist attractions per se. Our economic health is similar to other benchmark, other communities. That's a little surprising for me. We are low, and this is disappointing, the vibrancy of our downtown commercial area. And I can understand that because, again, from my perspective, we have not necessarily, the current council, we have not necessarily done a whole heck of a lot to implement the vision plan and other various plans to improve downtown La Plata. Employment opportunities, that's lower than other communities in benchmarking. I understand that, and that's the trend probably in the county. Close to 60 to 7% of folks who live and work in the county don't work here. I mean, who live here, they don't work here, so they out commute. And then at the bottom here, economic development, again, that's lower. The benchmark is lower as compared to other communities. We really don't have any economic development function in the town. And I'm going to do a later on podcast about why I think we do need to have an economic development function within the town. So look for that in the next couple of weeks, a separate podcast about what I believe our need to do that. And again, just will it improve in the next 6 months? Similar, but I think that's subject to change given the recent completion of the national elections. That'll probably be different, I suspect. The next one is mobility. So you can see up here in the pie chart between excellent, good, and fair. Those are our numbers. Poor is high. And here we have a lot more. All the categories but one are lower or much lower than as compared to other communities, the benchmarks. For instance, the quality of the transportation system, car, bike, foot, pedestrian, or bus. I can understand that. Ease of parking, it's similar. Ease of traffic by car and walking is lower. I certainly can relate to the walking since I'm a walker, and it's not easy to do that here. Public transportation, we really don't have any other than dependency on the Van Gogh County bus system and for those who travel north and use Metro. Traffic flow and ease of travel by bike in the town is much lower. I know I see and hear a lot of concerns about traffic flow on Route 6, 301, and other adjacent roads, streets in the town. This next category talks about walked or biked instead of driving. Again, a low number, much lower as compared to other communities. And then carpooling and using bus, rail, all that, rail and subway. Again, much lower indicators as compared to other communities. So that's not a good report card in terms of our mobility. And here's some services which are mostly pretty positive. Traffic enforcement is lower, and I think that's my view. That's a little bit of a misnomer because the police, they do some enforcement and perhaps should do more, but that takes away from other activities. And unfortunately, the police can't be everywhere, particularly with crime. Let's look at community design. Again, you can see the pie chart on the upper right in terms of fair and good and excellent. So these are, let me highlight the overall design or layout of La Plata's residential commercial areas. That's lower. We have a lower benchmark. Preservation of historic character or culture, that's lower. I know there's been a number of older buildings that for some reason have been removed or torn down and replaced by something else, or unfortunately have remained vacant. Public places were lower. Overall quality of new development is lower. I suspect that has a lot to do with Pine Grove. And then well-planned residential growth, again, much lower. And same with well-planned commercial growth. And I understand that, but I also wonder whether some of that is because of the adjacent development in Charles County, that is St. Charles, which is creeping down St. Charles Parkway along which turns into Rosewick. That area is outside the town limits, but there may be some feeling that that's part of the town. Code enforcement, we're not bad. The use of land use planning and other things is lower, and I suspect that relates to the other topics in this particular category in terms of community designs. So that benchmark is lower as compared to other communities. I do believe we could do a better job, not only the planning department, but also the planning commission as well. Utilities, that's all, we're pretty consistent with other communities. Our benchmarks are good here. Some of them are not. The garbage and the sewer and the water or storm water management are town functions in terms of the power and internet access. It's outside the control of the town. And again, you see down here at the bottom, quality of the utility infrastructure, that rates, again, similar to other communities. That's good. This is all pretty good. And you see up here again the pie chart, which summarizes that in terms of excellent, good, and fair. Safety, again, the police and crime. So these are all positive benchmarks, and as we're similar to other communities. And I won't dwell too much on that. I do know that police spend a lot of time during outreach with the business community and the residents and try to prevent crime and respond very quickly to those issues. Natural environment, the top, you can see here again the pie chart, excellent, good, fair. We're lower in the overall natural quality of the environment. That's so we're lower than other communities. Water resources, we don't have a lot of them, but we're lower. I know we have Lake Tillman and some other areas. Preservation of natural areas and open space areas, we're lower than other communities in terms of benchmarking. So we do need to do a better job of that. I would agree with that. We do have a Parks and Recreation plan. Unfortunately, that was done in 2011, so we could use some updating. And we do have a Parks and Recreation Commission, which I'm a part of. I'm an ad hoc member, but the maintenance is handled by Public Works, so the funding has been less than desirable because of other priorities, unfortunately. Again, Parks and Recreation, again, you can see how in most instances, except for here, we're lower benchmarks as compared to other communities. Here's the pie chart, which gives you an overall rating. Town parks were not bad. Classes were not bad. Other recreational facilities were not good. There are some adjacent in the county, which town residents have access to. This is good, a telling one. Availability of paths and walking trails, again, much lower benchmark as compared to other communities. And I understand that number and that rating. Health and wellness, again, the town doesn't have a whole lot of control because that's a function of the hospital, which is part of the University of Maryland hospital system. But you can see in most cases we're similar to other communities. The overall, unfortunately, is lower. And here's the pie chart, again, that gives you an overall view of that as well. Education, arts, and culture. Again, here's the pie chart in terms of overall rating. We're lower benchmark in terms of overall opportunities. The town does put on a lot of events, but in terms of K-12 education and quality preschool, again, that's not necessarily a town function. That's really the Charles County Board of Education, the K through 12. Quality child care is, again, that's a private business function, which we don't have a lot of control over. Library services is good, and we hope to have a new library in town shortly, as the county has plans to build a new library in downtown La Plata. They have a site plan. I believe it's funded, but I'm not sure what year they're planning to actually do the construction. This is an interesting one in terms of engagement. This is one of my favorites. I'm a little surprised with this, frankly. I'm pleased, but I thought it would be lower. There is one lower one in terms of benchmarking. Place to retire, I can relate to that, and that's probably a function of a lot of different things. The development, taxes, folks are looking to retire to places that maybe have a less tax burden, and they're following families to other locations. So, and that's a trend not only in the Plata, but frankly in the county and even across the country, and also in the state of Maryland. Folks are moving to places which is less of a tax burden. But again, here's the pie chart overall. And then these are just the customized questions that were asked. It's just a compilation, so you get a sense of what they are. It's a lot. And then this is the actual survey where you could fill it out. I happen to do mine online. This is, I believe, the paper version. So it kind of gives you a flavor. So I'm going to scroll back to the front page. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight this report. Again, I went through it pretty quickly. I believe that it may be posted or has been posted on the town website. But like I said, I will post a link to this one as well as the one that was done in 2016. I was going to try to compare the two, but that was frankly that was more problematic than I would have hoped it to be, and would probably consume too much time on a podcast. But I'll maybe go back and try to do a comparison in a shorter timeline and perhaps have more graphics. So again, thanks for listening. I appreciate your time in watching and listening to my podcasts and videos. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody has a safe and great Christmas holiday season. Stay safe and stay well. And again, as always, if you have questions or comments, please email me at djenkins@townlaplata.org. Thanks a lot, and hope to talk to you soon.